Hello and good morning, everybody, and welcome to today's RMIT Talk. My name is Trevor Goldman. I am a current executive MBA student here at RMIT, as well as a cybersecurity expert who's worked around the world on several different cybersecurity, let's call them jobs. Before we get started today, I'd like to acknowledge the people of Woi Wurrung and Boon Wurrung language groups of the Eastern Kulin Nations, on whose unceded lands we conduct the business of the university. RMIT respectfully acknowledges their ancestors and elders, past, present, and emerging. And while we conduct our work remotely, I want to pay my respect to the wider unceded lands of this nation. Business. We're here to talk about the world of business. A world that's evolving at lightning speed. In this new world of business, disruption is the new normal, and organizations are under pressure to embrace digital transformation and new ways of working. In order to stay competitive, they need to seize opportunities to provide an outstanding customer experience in a globalized economy. To lead businesses through times of uncertainty, and boy, these are times of uncertainty, aren't they? The business professional of the future needs to be innovative, quick to act, forward-thinking, and able to adapt to changing environments, both locally and globally. Now, we're lucky to have three panelists in front of us today. We have RMIT is providing learners with the skills and knowledge they'll need to thrive as a business professional of the future. So we've assembled this team from the RMIT community, and the first panelist that we'll introduce is Professor Claire Mackin.
Hi everyone, I'm Claire. I'm Deputy Pro Vice Chancellor Learning and Teaching in the College of Business and Law. It's fantastic to be here and I'm glad you could make it. Thanks, Trevor.
All right, thanks, Claire. And next, I'm going to introduce Sam Fern.
Hi, guys. My role at the university here is Senior Advisor Learning and Teaching. That may not mean much to anybody, but it means that in my day-to-day job, I get to have a lot of fun developing new programs, such as the one we're going to talk about today. So feel free to fire away a lot of questions at the end to me. I'm very excited to be here to chat to you guys.
All right, thanks, Sam. And Dr. Damir Mitrick.
Good morning, everybody. I'm the Senior Learning Experience Designer here in the college, and good morning on this miserable Melbourne morning. And aren't we lucky there are some upsides to the COVID crisis because we don't have to come on campus on a very rainy day. So if you're in Melbourne, it's pretty miserable up here in the north. So not too bad that we can meet online. Welcome, everyone.
Yeah, I think I'm glad, or I'm happy that I don't have any windows in my room here. I can't see the weather. Just a little housekeeping before we get on to the questions. I wanted to remind everybody that we'll have 15 to 20 minutes at the end of our panel discussion to go over any questions that you might have. I'll let you know when the Q&A tool is open, probably in about 20 or 30 minutes. And we'll have as much time as possible to answer as many questions as you can. Or as we can. So first question to you, Claire, COVID-19. We can't start a panel talking about business until we go into COVID-19 as a great example of a complex global challenge that's resulted in almost every business having to adapt and innovate quickly. So what does this disruption mean for the future of business and for our business education?
Thanks, Trevor. Well, what an absolutely huge question to answer. It's clearly the case that we are right now living through the most extraordinary times, and it's really unpredictable, both personally and for our businesses. And there's clearly a major disruption to business, the economy. Businesses have been and are under absolutely intense pressure to adapt, innovate and embrace technology in a way they've never had to before at this unprecedented speed. And for those of you listening in today, viewing us, if you're leaving school today, the new normal is actually uncertainty. And most, if not all of you, have actually experienced firsthand what disruption is like. It may have radically altered your learning environment, perhaps. It might have had an impact on different aspects of your life. And if you think about your own future and the different types of careers you will have, and you're likely to have many, it really raises the question of the skills, competencies and knowledge that you will need in your life to be happy and successful for your future. And so you can make a really positive impact on society. And if you think about the business professional of the future and the personal competencies that they'll need to be quick to act, to respond to occasions like this, flexible, really forward-thinking, innovative, and able to lead and adapt to changing business environments, both locally, wherever we are now, and globally. And businesses will need people with this cutting-edge knowledge and skills to be able to address complex challenges and steer new approaches and feel empowered to make positive changes. So today we're going to talk about something I'm super excited about. It's a new degree we've actually created specially for you. It's called the Bachelor of Business, Innovation and Enterprise. And the purpose of this degree is really simple: to equip you with the skills, competencies and knowledge you will need as a business professional of the future in a rapidly changing world. The Bachelor of Business, Innovation and Enterprise, and you'll hear lots about it from my colleagues today, it's multidisciplinary, so it goes lots of different areas. It's a degree that encompasses high-level skills in business, along with, importantly, real-world industry-based application. And some of the big areas that you'll study in this degree are things like international business, digital business, decision-making, the intersection of legal and business, the intersection of digital technology and business, and things like artificial intelligence, cybersecurity. And this degree also brings in personal capabilities. So the sorts of things that you need to have a global outlook, critical thinking, creativity, the ability to lead and succeed. And you'll see lots around the industry immersed experiences, practical experiences, not exams, not at all. Instead, a portfolio of evidence that you can take to your future employers. So if you graduate from this degree, which I hope you choose it and you graduate from it, you'll develop a really broad, current and future-focused understanding of business and your role in business in innovating and transforming practices in the global market. And one of the key features is flexibility. So you'll be able to choose your own path through the degree based on your passions and interests and to develop your professional identity. This means that you can broaden your knowledge and specialise in areas of your interest as the degree progresses. So super excited to be here. And thanks, Trevor, for the question. We're really excited for this program. So back to you.
Thanks, Claire. Well, that's amazing. And passion and excitement, cybersecurity that I've been working in, it's exciting, and it's exciting to see what the Bachelor of Business, Innovation and Enterprise will be bringing. Sam, can you tell me more about it?
Absolutely. I guess the four key features of this degree, and having a think as you explore your opportunities of what you want to choose for your future and compare this degree to others, what we've deliberately tried to make this one different so that we have there's a lot of degrees out there, both at RMIT and elsewhere. So what is it about this one that's different? A lot of RMIT degrees are industry immersed, and we have a really strong connection with our industry partners, and that's a huge component of what we do. So it gives you the opportunity in the degree to actually problem solve with industry. So rather than waiting until you've finished your degree to actually start having an impact, you'll be working on problems that will actually be impacting the solutions that you'll be involved in creating will be having an impact from the very start. And I think that's really exciting about this program. So that's one of the things, definitely industry immersed and the problem-based aspect of working on actual real world issues to solve problems. And as Claire said, rather than having an exam at the end of it, you'll actually be creating a solution that can actually make a difference and have an impact. And also then give you something that you can take forward with you to say, hey, I can do this. It gives you an opportunity to showcase your project management skills and your ability to think outside boxes and come up with creative solutions. So hence the innovation in the title. The other key aspect that Claire mentioned as well is the ability to focus on yourself throughout the degree and focusing on the ability to create you as a business professional. So what's that journey that you need to go through to be you know, the leader, the innovator, the business person of the future. Maybe not just in your first career, but you'll have up to 8 careers, I think is the current number. I'm sure it'll be more by the time we get there, throughout your future. So what are the skills and abilities that you will create to take with you into the future? And there's a big focus on creating those capabilities in this program. So the kinds of things that things that you'll be studying are up there on the screen now.
I interrupt you just momentarily. My apologies. I just got the slide up now. Which slide would you like me on?
We'll start with this one. It's a great one, Trevor. Thank you. Because it gives an idea of okay, you're talking about all these problems, but what sort of problems would I be solving? And this it gives you an idea that it's around the technologies and the opportunities that we're seeing come through in the world. You know, global mobility, the idea of remote teams, where, you know, that was something that we didn't really know a lot about, or we sort of played lip service to having teams working remotely. Some businesses played around the edges. Now we're just doing it, right? So how do we manage a team that's all over the world, all over the country? Those things that are really front of mind at the moment. So we'll have projects that look at how to best do that and to identify different contexts and scenarios in business where you would need to make different choices. And so your leadership and management that you'll be learning as part of your business degree will be really focused on the current scenarios, but also the technologies that are available to help us to manage these kinds of things. Same with things like artificial intelligence, robotics and remote sensing. These are great things that have been invented, but how do we actually use them in business? How do businesses progress by taking up some of these things? And those are the kinds of issues and problems and solutions and ideas that you'll be working with. Trevor, can you go to the next slide for me, please? One of the things that I find most exciting about this degree is the level of flexibility for students to be able to identify and initially to try a whole range of different things. Some of you will already know that you've got a passion for something. Others will have a general idea that you're interested in business and the future, but not much more specific than that. What area of business, what sort of career? This degree gives the opportunity to try a whole range of different things and develop a keen business sense by looking at things from different perspectives, and then start to specialize. If you do a project in first year around blockchain and it's really exciting to you, then you can follow through and do more and more of that as you go through the degree. There's opportunities to do minors, and there's opportunities to do electives, and it is truly multidisciplinary because they don't need to be within the College of Business and Law. They can easily be outside of that. Okay, so unfortunately our slides aren't working, but that's fine. We don't need them because we're here to chat to you anyway. So those are probably the 4 key things for me in this degree. That the level of industry immersion, the actual practical experience, the feedback, the networking that you'll be doing with industry is really substantial within this degree. The problem-based learning, where you're actually doing things and coming up with solutions, the capability development of you and your journey into your career, and the flexibility to find your passion and then take it to the next level. So I'll hand back to you, Trevor.
All right, thanks, Sam. That's a comprehensive introduction to the coursework, and I, for one, always like it when I hear there's not so many exams. And as a current student at RMIT, exams, I'm not saying they don't have a place, but RMIT does structure to allow you to be better ready for the business world, not just theoretically ready. And as you saw with the slides, technology doesn't always do what we want it to do, and we have to be ready for the ups and downs of technology working and not. So before we get on to the next question, I wanted to remind everybody that we have a live Q&A tool. It's open now. And please submit your questions in the chat function on the right, and we'll try to get as many answers to your questions as possible. Demir, you're up. So I have a question now about the degree itself. What's it like to study the degree? Can you just give me some examples?
Sure, of course. I get the exciting question, I guess. That's what everyone's waiting to hear. I have to admit, looking at the what and the how, I feel quite excited, but unfortunately, I've reached my limit of education. I can't go back into it, but I'm genuinely excited by this, and I'll explain very briefly now I'll talk about the what a little bit, and then a little bit about the how. I think that most of you have by now picked up on the fact that, we're talking here about a breadth degree, where we have quite a number of major areas of study, and I'll just throw a couple of them at you now. I just like to just try to absorb them fully. So digital business, international business, professional capability development, decision making, stakeholder relationship development and management, critical as well as design thinking, project management, the intersection between legal and digital contexts, artificial intelligence, social enterprises, global and remote leadership. And I'll leave it at that because I don't want to kill you with a quite enormous list of things that seem a little bit abstract. But what I'd like to do now is just unpack that a little bit and tell you about what your experience will look like. How are we going to cover this sort of wide breadth of topics? So the structure of the degree is essentially broken up into two major components. And I'll give you a little bit of a taste if you choose to join us. And we really sincerely hope that we'll meet some of you in person next year. Let's imagine you join us, you're here with us in semester 1 next year. In the first semester, you will spend half of your time working on what we call the capability components of the subject, and half of the time you will be working on projects. Both of these are extremely important in order to get you ready for the world that Claire and Sam have described is upon us. And as Trevor has beautifully mentioned now, we're all grappling with even a simple thing like putting an orientation day together. So you can imagine what it means for the global economy at the moment. How do we deal with this virus? So why are the capabilities important? Well, I think that some of the things that you're going to learn there are actually the core thing that employers will look for in an interview at some point. So in semester 1, you're going to, in the first year, you're going to cover critical and analytical approaches, professional development, diverse perspectives and collaborative working, as well as organizational understanding. So this is some of the bread and butter stuff that you actually have to be really comfortable with if you want to be ready for the workplace. And when I'm in job interviews and when we're interviewing, for new roles, there is so many of us with the same or very similar skill set. What will make you stand apart is these kind of core capability skills that employers are going to look for. Are you a critical thinker? Can you actually analyze? It's a lot less important, I think, in terms of, what kind of grade have you achieved and what kind of exam results you've had, or what kind of specialization you have focused on in your first 3 years of your undergraduate degree. Now, this part will also be a very important element in the cohort building for you. You will note when you look at some of the other courses, and I would strongly encourage you to, this is a very important decision that you need to make, to look at what's out there and what suits you. You will note that the majority of business degrees have a common core these days, which means that in the first year, you actually spend a lot of time looking let's say in an abstract way at some of the key concepts that are relevant to the discipline. And then in the second and the third year, you can start to sort of specialize and carve up the pathway that interests you. We've flipped this a little bit. We are actually going to get you to sort of, be hands-on in the real world in semester 1 already, because 2 of the subjects will be capability focused, which will give you a chance to do that cohort building that a common core traditionally does, to get to know each other. A very important part of going to university. Some of my best years, can definitely tell you some of my best years now that I'm giving this talk while I have a 2-year-old distracting me as well as an 8-year-old, and we're in the middle of this crisis. So I think it's so exciting to think about, the journey that you're about to begin. So this is going to be this kind of the mini common core, if you like, and then you're going to work on your projects straight away. And let me throw you a couple of the projects that you're going to be able to choose from in the first year. So in the first year, you're going to work on 4 projects, and here's 8 of the options that we're going to give you: blockchain accounting, managing global and remote teams, technology transformation for SMEs, business implications for robotics and remote sensing, artificial intelligence in the workplace, legal considerations when it comes to big data, cybersecurity planning, and global business sustainability. So these are really, really exciting. I look at this list and I personally am excited by it. So you're going to be able to choose 4 of these 8 project-based subjects that we're going to offer you. And the really cool thing about working on these projects is that, as Sam has explained, these are going to be really hands-on experiences. There are no exams. You're going to be building a portfolio. So that means that you will work in small groups as well as independently to work on a real life problem. And what is so special about these real life problems is that 11 of the projects that we're going to offer you will be done in collaboration with our industry partners. So that means that you're going to have an opportunity not only to work on something that is real in terms of it's relevant to today's world, but you're also going to have the opportunity to actually network and meet some of the people who are already out there running businesses and working for really large successful corporations. And I can guarantee you that these type of experiences are really vital, and that if you impress someone, or if you have the, you're lucky enough to work on a project with people that think very highly of you, that can be an enormous advantage for you as a student after you finish your degree. I guess the last point that I would like to say about this is that you note that there is quite a bit of choice in this. So you will be able, so in terms of the capabilities, we're going to make sure that you cover, these are fixed. So you're going to basically cover 8 in the first 2 years. But the rest of the course, the rest of the degree really is project based. And in every year, you will have plenty of choices and options. So you can start thinking about what interests you, what you would like to focus on, and you can start to build your own degree and to build actually your own career pathway. So these are really kind of the core things, I guess, the snippets that I could paint for you, what next year could look like.
That sounds amazing, and it sounds really exciting, and it leads us into our next question. So Sam, what kind of jobs can this lead to?
Okay, thanks. Thanks, guys. One of the things that we've talked about is how this whole degree came about in response to disruption and to the things that are happening around us. So in some ways, the future is a big unknown. Things are definitely changing. The whole ground has shifted, and that's an exciting thing, and a very, particularly when it comes to innovation, a very there's opportunities abounding. So some of the roles that this degree will prepare you for haven't even been defined yet. We can't give them a title. We don't know what they are, but we know the kinds of skills and abilities that you'll need to be successful in them. But to give you some specifics around the kinds of things, the job titles that we have now that would be that would also come out of this degree are things like innovation manager, corporate strategist, business transformation, planning or managing, looking at how you can transform businesses, particularly from in terms of the technological aspects of that. So taking the traditional businesses into the future. So there's also an element of entrepreneurship. Maybe you're creating an opportunity. Maybe you've got an idea for a business and you're creating that through developing yourself and developing your idea throughout your degree. So there's that angle, and there's definitely the angle of looking at the entrepreneurship of how that changes businesses. Businesses of the future by coming in and being able to. So it's a very active role. It's anything that will be able to actually get in there and actually make changes rather than a more traditional role. So digital capability coordinator, concept designer, social innovation projects manager, because there's a strong element for those of you that are really interested in social justice and social aspects, community-based opportunities to also develop those through this degree. As Demir said before, there's so much choice in the different projects as well as the topics that you'll be covering as to how you actually think about the outcomes and where you apply them, which kind of industries and organisations. So lots of different opportunities, and some of them we can't even name for you yet, but definitely a lot of opportunities, particularly from this kind of flexible degree. And it does depend a lot on the opportunities and specializations that you take through that pathway.
That's amazing, and I think it's also interesting to note that this, as an ever-changing and ever-evolving part of business, when you talk about the tech and the innovation, that we don't know what's going to be in the next year or 10 years, and it's up to us to help mold what the future is going to be. So my question now is to each one of you, one sentence only. What is the one thing that's special about the Bachelor of Business, Innovation and Enterprise? Demir, go.
Well, for me, it has to be flexibility. You're in a tricky position. You have to make some difficult choices. We're giving you 3 years to make the right choice. And in the way, actually you have an advantage over your peers who have thought that they made the right decision right now. More than one sentence, but that's the best sentence.
That's fine. Excellent. Sam, go.
For me, I think it's about the personal capability building that goes alongside all of this, being able to develop yourself as that business professional of the future, ready to go out there and really kill it.
All right. And Claire.
Oh, it's so hard for me. I think there's many, but for me, it's really around the business knowledge that you'll get, where you're applying it in context with real world business problems. So you're solving problems from the beginning. And I'm going to put in an extra sentence that, you know, this is actually the degree that I would love to study, and we've designed it because we can see where the future of business is going, and we want to prepare you for that future. So thanks, Trevor.
All right. Yeah, I know there was approach as we were starting our business careers of fly by the seat of your pants and just learn as you go. And it's going to be great to see that we'll have a bit of structure to a course as we continue on. But what I'd like to do now is take some questions from our audience, and I see that we have a few questions coming in. Let's say one for Claire. How does this course enable a graduate to embrace uncertainty and accept the unknown and yet have them move forward?
Yeah, great question. Thanks for the person who posted that. I think there's two ways. One is by developing personal capabilities and your own professional self. So the capabilities where you think about your role in business and the impact that you're going to have, you become able to actually embrace uncertainty because you know, you're the one that's going through this journey, and how you respond to that will be really evident as you go through the degree, but also your life. And I think in response to COVID-19, what has happened in business and in society more generally is that people are responding based on their own personal capabilities to do so. So everything that happened before that prepared them for this moment has come forward, and we never knew this would happen. This was definitely not predictable. So it's a really interesting point. The second way is that by combining areas of discipline-based knowledge in business, things like marketing, management, economics, finance, and put in against something like blockchain, cybersecurity, legal. So we're, you know, smashing those things up against each other. You have to think about things in a different way. So it prepares you to have the agility to solve problems. I hope that answers the question. Thanks, Trevor.
I like that answer, Claire. Thank you. And I'm just going to march right on to the next question for Sam. Is it possible to pair this degree in a double degree, such as with business or science, as an example?
That's a great question. One of the things that's relatively unique about this degree is that it is multidisciplinary from the start. Cybersecurity actually sits in science, for example, and we've talked a lot about how that also is going to connect into this degree. There are different elements of the projects that we have that will be working. One of the projects that we've lined up for third year is actually working with the School of Design and their fashion industry, and it's looking at social enterprises in fashion. So there's opportunities within the degree to already be starting to work across different disciplines, and then there's that opportunity always to do electives, and in this degree we've got a lot of electives, so you can actually do a minor, and that minor could be in science, it could be in design, it could be in one of the other colleges, or it might be something else in business that you've decided, look, I'm really good at the whole management thing and I want to do a minor in management as part of this degree as well and graduate with that. So there's definitely opportunities to explore widely. At the moment we don't have an actual structure that it is a double degree that you can enrol in from the start, but certainly there's opportunities to do studies across the whole university as part of this degree, yes.
All right, thanks, Sam. And I don't want to put my pitch out there, and they haven't asked me to do this, that RMIT is about flexibility and is about the students themselves, and it's not just about getting those numbers through and cattling the students to graduation and then getting the next group. It's about catering to each and every student as you go along to allow you to be ready for whatever the business enterprise or the business side that you've got yourself into. Claire, next question. How does the innovation and enterprise degree differ from any other business degrees that we offer here at RMIT?
Oh, great question. So, you know, I think we have such an amazing offer, and part of Open Day is for you to explore all the different offerings and to look at the one that best suits you, the one that you're really passionate about, what really resonates with you. So if this isn't it, which I think it should be because it's great, but there's so many other opportunities. So if you would like more specialisation, we do have Bachelor of Business degrees, accounting, economics and finance, management marketing, the area that you're particularly interested in, passionate about. We have another new degree as well, which I'm sure there's amazing sessions on that you can go to. I know there is, the Bachelor of Business, Blockchain Enabled Business. This is really looking at the skills that students need to be at the front line of the new digital economy, so that how do you actually manage blockchain in private and public enterprises. There is awesome degree, the Bachelor of Business Entrepreneurship. So looking at the entrepreneurship skills, also super important for the future of business, and looking at how you can grow, manage business in an entrepreneurial fashion, and looking at the fundamentals of business in that context. We also have a new Bachelor of Laws degree. That's my background, by the way. So background in law, including I did a PhD in law actually, and you can couple that with information systems and economics and finance. And this law degree is amazing because of the way that it intersects global and tech with it, which is absolutely the key for the future of business. Another one, Bachelor of Business, Digital Business, is there with that technology edge on business. And overall, what we're trying to do with our undergraduate offer for you, so that so many different choices that you can go to, there is a thread right through around technology, design and enterprise, and we've got within our bachelor's degree that common thread. So please have a look around at the Open Day and look at the different elements and the different aspects of the different degrees on offer.
All right, thanks, Claire. Sam, just a quick answer. Are there any work placements or internships as part of this degree?
Absolutely. One of the features of this degree is how much industry connection and networking happens throughout the degree. We have at least 8 of our courses that you'll be doing that would be considered work integrated learning, is the term the university calls it, where you actually are working closely with industry. And that's through a lot of those projects that we spoke about, but it's also through opportunities that you can choose. Again, lots of choice in this degree. You can do a semester placement, an internship it's called. You can make all of those choices through this degree, definitely.
Excellent. And before we get to a question for Demir, what I'd like to do is just ask if VCAL students can do this degree and if they'll be able to. Oh, that's still to you, Sam. Sorry, I jumped ahead. I wanted to just get this question to you out as well.
Okay, no worries. So yeah, we've got a range of pathways into this degree, and we encourage everybody to think about it. We would like everybody to come into the degree, quite honestly, but that sounds a bit greedy, doesn't it? So yeah, definitely the pathway options are on the website, or otherwise you can contact our admissions team to give you the specifics of it, but absolutely.
Excellent. Okay, Demir, how do you feel experienced designers can best address the business challenges for what we're going through right now, a disrupted world?
Thanks, Trevor. Yeah, that's. I was just trying to interpret the question because it could mean a number of things. So I'll just answer it by focusing on the challenges that the business globally is facing at the moment, and that really all boils down to the fact that we are in what we call the 4th industrial revolution, which means that the digital sort of leap that we have experienced over the last few decades has just completely shifted the way we understand not only how business functions, but also it's really challenging us to think about what does society mean, how do we relate to And for some of you, it's a different story if you're just finishing our, year 12 compared to, let's say, me or to Claire or to Trevor or to Sam. But we're all in this tumultuous time, and every time you go through a moment of change, of crisis, there's always also opportunities. So what these times require is agile thinkers, people that can on the spot try to solve a problem in a very creative way, who are not scared to have a go. And these are the things that both experienced designers are working on, and these are also the things that you should be thinking about as you're choosing the degrees and as you're choosing your career pathways, because as bleak as the picture is, and it is really a world that is sort of literally on fire, we're looking for people who can solve problems, who can be these creative, agile thinkers. And some of my generation and those above me are not necessarily in that category. So this is the things that I think that's the golden key that you're holding in your hands.
All right, thanks. Yeah, that was a tough question to answer, and please remember that with some of these questions, there's going to be a whole plethora, complex answers that we can get to, and I'm sure that we'll be able to answer some of these in the future as you start exploring the degree in the next stages. Now, question 7. I'm not sure to take this to. Was it Sam, Claire, or Demir? And it's quite a complex one. Can you explain a little bit about the benefits of applied course in any of the areas of business? And I guess I'll take this one to Sam.
Yeah, sure. So our applied courses are the ones that involve 12 months of actually working in industry. So in addition to the 3 years of the on campus, if you like, not that it is necessarily on campus at the moment, you also do a year of actually working in a placement. So it's sort of an extended version of our internships. So the benefits of doing the applied course is spending more time in industry before you graduate and getting those additional workplace skills and abilities. In this particular new course, we're building a lot of that in with the capability development. So students might, there's always a trade-off. Do I do the extra year before I start my real work, or do I just try and encapsulate that development while I'm within the 3 years? And I think this gives you the option, particularly if you do an internship, which is a 6-month option. So there's all of those options are available to you, depending on, and I guess, how you like to cut the pie, if you like to. Would you prefer to, do the really in-depth theoretical dive and then do some, a really in-depth industry year, and that's some of what our applied degrees give you, or would you prefer to just get in there from first semester and start building it as you go? Different personalities, different career outputs, different choices, but all the choices are there, and they're really good questions. So as you talk to people and get these answers, you will really find where you belong. Yeah.
My apologies, Sam, because that leads us into my next question of Claire. Do future students need to know a lot about technology?
Yes. Now, so for the future you do, not for going into the degree program. So when you come in, we don't expect you to know things about blockchain and cybersecurity as much as Trevor knows, that's for sure. So that's what we do, is that we'll teach you those. We'll teach you the things that you need to know so that you can apply them to the real world problems. But in terms of the bigger picture question, do you need to know about technology? Absolutely. For learners, digital skills are just as important as literacy and numeracy. These are the fundamental skills. Every single piece of research on the sorts of skills that learners need to go into the future, technology plays a role. So we've woven technology through this degree program so that it's a fundamental component, and each of the projects have that technology overlay, so you'll learn it as you go. And when you graduate, you'll come out with an awesome set of digital skills that you can apply in business. It's absolutely imperative for young people today to have digital skills for your future. And it's our job to teach them as well.
And I think all three of you would agree that curiosity and the curiosity of what technology can bring to us is also an element that we'd love to see in each one of the students. All right, so I'm going to just move along here to Sam. What are the prerequisites to get into this course?
Okay, well, this is a brand new course. It hasn't been run yet. It hasn't, nobody's applied for it yet. So we've put together a list of prerequisites that will allow students to be successful in the program. And depending on which pathway you're coming through, there's different different requirements. So rather than going through all of them now, I would say have a look at the website, have a chat to our career advisors, and have a chat to our admissions team.
Okay.
Anybody, there's a pathway for everybody. It's just about passion. So
fantastic. Are there options to study abroad?
So that's Trevor, a great question. Something I'm extremely passionate about because that's one of my specialist areas. So study abroad. Obviously, we are in the middle of a pandemic, so even traveling to the CBD is a study abroad experience these days for me here in the northern suburbs. But the reality is that we already explained to you that you're going to be working, that we work very closely with industry, and some of our industry partners are big global players. We also have an RMIT Europe section of the university that we're collaborating with, and there certainly will be a big global flavor to this degree, both in terms of the projects that you will be working on. We will be encouraging you to think globally. It's one of the key themes of this degree because we live in a global world, in a global economy with a global problem, with a global phenomena. So it is actually in the DNA of this degree. And once we actually are over and through this crisis, we also will certainly be looking at some of the traditional forms of connecting with students across the globe as well. But at this stage, obviously, we'll be limited to sort of running it similar like this session in the online space.
Fantastic. Thanks, Damir. Claire, you always get the money question, so I'll ask this one, just a very quick answer. We've only got 4 minutes left. What salary can people expect at the end of this?
Wow, that's a hard question. I have no idea. I do know, though, that having a higher education degree and one like this is going to best position you to get a job that will give you a great salary because you're able to negotiate the world of work, and there's a lot of evidence around that. Some of the careers, though, that Sam went into, things like digital capability coordinator, social innovation, and so on. But one thing that wasn't mentioned is also small business, and a lot of people are employed in small business. And I'm just actually, Trevor, going to answer another question because we're going to run out of time.
The dream job, yes, please.
Yes, my dream job is to start my own record label for artists. What direction do I need to take through this course to help me start a business? I actually think you should enroll in our Bachelor of Business entrepreneurship degree because that will give you exposure to those skills specifically around starting your own business. This degree is different from that, but also will give you fantastic skills for the future. And I don't have time to go into more, but that is my 2 answers.
All right, fantastic. And there is a question, why did I choose Executive MBA RMIT? RMIT is an amazing university that allows you to be prepared for the business world, not just getting a degree and saying, I have a piece of paper, thank you very much for the courses. I know that might not answer it comprehensively, but I want to use the last 2 minutes to say, Claire, Sam, and Damir, is there anything else that you'd like to add while we still have a few seconds?
I have one thing which is around question 12, which was around choosing a second business major with this degree, because I think that the major and minor conversation hasn't really been covered a lot. So Sam?
Yeah, absolutely. The major is, that is something that you need to do. You do a Bachelor of Business Management if you want to do a major in management. We don't have enough space in this course to do a major, but we do have space for minor, and we definitely encourage people to do that in the business field. Like entrepreneurship was the one that was mentioned in the question, but also, anything that your passion is ignited by, definitely opportunities to do that. There's a lot of flexibility and choice in the program.
Oh, fantastic. And we have about 1 minute left. Anything else we'd want to add?
I'll just add on the question 13 around, how does it stack up in terms of employability versus a more traditional model that is, focused. And this is an honest approach, because remember we were giving it was a tabula rasa, make a degree of your wishes that Claire brought to us. So we created what we think we would love to do. I would not gamble on a specialization right now. The world is too fragile. It's changing too fast. I would always go for the core skills that will enable me to be many different Damirs in the future, not to be one version that I'm investing 3 years into. But that's just my personal opinion.
And if I can add to that just in 10 seconds, the information that we're getting through from industry in terms of what they want want from graduates really is around those capabilities, employability skills, and there's a lot of research and data on that you guys can research for yourselves, but that's why I think it would give you the edge over a specialist degree.
Sam, Claire, Demir, thank you guys very much. I'm really sorry that's all we have time for. If we couldn't answer your questions today, please head over to our live chat and one of our representatives will help you out. Thank you everybody for joining us today on RMIT Talk.